In this unit, we'll study the function of the topic particle wa. Each time we produce or hear a sentence, we in a way create a new folder, put the sentence in it, and place it on top of the previous one. For instance, 今朝、田中さんが郵便局へ行きました。After this sentence is uttered, the information contained in it is placed into a mental folder instead of being discarded or stored away. The speaker now may make a comment on an element in the first folder like this. 田中さんは郵便局で切手を買いました。In this second sentence, which now will be placed into the topmost folder, the speaker must use the topic particle wa to indicate that the person so marked is identical to the person in the old folder. In other words, the particle wa links two sentences or two folders into a coherent passage. This is similar to the function of English pronouns like he and she and the definite article the, which link two sentences into a coherent passage. In the previous case, we commented on Tanaka-san, Mr. Tanaka. You can also attach wa to 郵便局, post office, and comment on it. This also links the two sentences into a coherent passage. 郵便局は新しいです。By contrast, if you want to introduce a new passage as when you want to talk about an unrelated subject and a different location, you do not use the particle wa. あ、それから佐藤さんが図書館へ行きました。You place a new folder on top of the old one without linking them. This last approach is fine so long as you are intentionally introducing two separate passages with different participants. But if you continue doing this, you will sound incoherent. This is particularly true if you put a new folder on top of another with identical participants. That is because you are in effect severing the obvious link between the two and sending out mixed messages. The situation is the same when two conversational partners continue creating separate folders. They would sound non-cooperative. The more acceptable method is to link the two folders with the particle wa. Here is another context where wa is used. 山田さんが公園へ行きました。The information in the first sentence is placed into the first folder. At this point, the speaker may recall some other people in association with the first person. All the people are now placed into the folder on top, which is linked to the one before. In the subsequent sentences, wa is used for the subject if she or he is in this folder. 佐藤さんは図書館へ行きました。中村さんは家にいました。wa is again used to link related sentences into a coherent passage. In some cases, the speaker may already be thinking of a number of people before uttering the first sentence. That is, they might have already been in the folder together. All the subsequent sentences can carry the topic marker wa. 佐藤さんは図書館へ行きました。中村さんは家にいました。山田さんは公園へ行きました。The sentences are comments on the people in the first folder. Some things are more likely to be in the folder before the initial utterance. Such are things in the environment familiar to the speaker. In particular, the speaker himself or herself is likely to stay in the mental folder semi-permanently. So are things that are closely associated with the speaker. 私の名前はスーザン・ケリーです。私の専攻は歴史です。The passage organizing function of wa is utilized in storytelling like this. 昔々あるところにおじいさんとおばあさんが住んでいました。おじいさんは大晦日に傘を売りに町に行きました。Notice that the old couple is marked by the subject marker が in the first sentence. In the second sentence, the old man is marked by the topic marker は。The two sentences thus form a coherent passage with one building on the other. This is a typical way to organize a folk tale in Japanese. In fact, we can continue the story a little further and see that the same pattern is repeated. おじいさんは大晦日に傘を売りに町に行きました。町には市がありましたが、傘は売れませんでした。おじいさんは家へ帰ることにしました。You will notice that while newly introduced items appear with particles such as wo and ni and without wa, previously mentioned items are marked by wa. Similarly, 途中おじいさんはお地蔵様を見ました。お地蔵様は寒そうでした。You can stop here and come back after you study Units 13 and 37. Let us sidestep from the story for a moment to discuss additional features of the particle wa. The discussion so far clarified that wa attaches to something already given about which you want to make a comment. This means that you cannot attach wa to a WH form such as dare and nani, unknown entities. A question like this is ungrammatical. Use this instead. 誰が町へ行きましたか? The answer will conform to the same pattern. おじいさんが行きました。We'll next see that wa is also sensitive to the structure of the sentence. First, do not use this. Use this instead. ちょっと伺いますが、町はどちらですか? That is, when a WH question contains a WH form in a non-subject position, the subject must be marked by wa, whether it is mentioned for the first time or not. This is because a WH form soliciting new information, the subject is treated as the background by default. Now once you learn complex noun phrases, you can continue the old man's story like this. おじいさんが持っていた傘は一つ足りませんでした。Use ga for the subject within a complex noun phrase as shown, because such a subject embedded deep inside a noun phrase cannot be the topic of the entire sentence. By the way, the old man will be rewarded for his good deed. His wife welcomes him home warmly, and the Ojizo-sama bring to the old couple's door special food for the new year. The old woman will utter this joyously. おじいさん、見てください。何か食べ物がありますよ。お地蔵様がいらっしゃいましたよ。For the surprising appearance of the gift and the お地蔵様, the old woman uses the particle ga, not the particle wa.